evening, viewers. This is the Elbows Down MotoGP podcast. This is the Thai Grand Prix review, round one review. I'm joined as always by Alex. How are you doing?
Ahoy, hoy.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Not going to go down as a classic, if I'm honest. Has that track given us great races before? Okay, maybe the odd one, a wet race comes to mind. And the 2023 barnstorming race between Martin, Pecco and Brad Binder. But that was a bit of a one-off. And we weren't treated to anything super special, Alex. It's not going to go down to something your memories. Well, apart from the fact Marc is back, and my God, it is scary good for him. It's looking that good for him.
Across all three classes, we had some really, really interesting things to look at. None of the races were especially special. I wouldn't class any of them as what they call, the classic races.
Yeah.
So it's not going to blow anyone's mind, but we did finally, because we spent all this time in the post and pre-season having to talk about testing and all that sort of boring shit that just, it's just all fucking speculation. It's really, really difficult to gauge what's going on because we don't know what's going on with who's testing what, and it's honestly, I get so bored in the off-season of people saying, well, it's just testing, isn't it? Ugh, so boring. So finally, we've actually got some results and some good, proper results. We've had a very, very, very hot track. Probably the hottest of the season. Probably the hottest race weekend of the season that we'll see. To a point where we had a Moto3 rider who couldn't hold his own handlebars. We had a retirement in MotoGP because of the heat from Aprilia's chief whinger, Raul Fernandez. But I want to talk mostly about not necessarily the race as they went, but the results that we got from them. And all three classes, we got some seriously impressive results from our rookies.
Yeah, we did. I think the obvious one is Ogura, and goodness me, that's a surprise to everyone. And that's where, he was better than his testing form. As you say, it's hard to take anything from testing, but that was incredible. And he was saying that he was used to those conditions because of the tracks that obviously the Asia Talent Cup go to. So he was used to that from in his teens. So. Well, he says that he could be just being modest there. I'm not sure how fast he expects himself to be over the weekend, but easily top Aprilia in the sprint and the Grand Prix. Outshadow the other rookies, Alex. So you've got Fermin Aldeguer, arguably on the best bike in the grid, especially when you consider, as a rookie, you should still probably be better than that with that bike, you could argue. I mean, look how good Acosta did on the KTM last year.
I think there's a lot of... There's a lot of a learning curve for Fermin Aldeguer. I think when we've looked at Ogura in the last few years, and I mean over the last few years of him being a seriously impressive rider and also title contender in the last few years, let's admit it. It's not just last year where he was a title contender. The 2 years prior to that, he was as well. So Ogura as a whole has always been an incredibly talented rider. I would go as far to say that Ogura could be a generational talent. He's just got a nous for riding motorbikes. Fermin Aldeguer, however, has a few very, very, very impressive results in a very short space of time and gets himself basically a signed contract a few rounds into his Moto2, his final Moto2 season. So there's that.
Before the end of 2023, and it was direct to Ducati factory. So it couldn't have worked out better for him.
Yeah. Exactly, and then we're obviously looking at Somkhat Chantra, who was the home hero this weekend. There's loads and loads of reports. I found it so funny that he had 6 bodyguards following him around, simply because it's just like the Beatles in Thailand. We saw what happened at the One Bangkok or One Bangkok Arena sort of thing. The thing in early February, the opening show that Thailand hosted, where the MotoGP riders going down the street circuit, running down the street, especially Marc Marquez, Pecco, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty special.
The launch event, yeah. And you said it. It's like watching early Beatles stuff.
Yeah,
it's like watching the opening scenes to A Hard Day's Night. You know, the Beatles film where it's just a load of screaming girls chasing them and they're having to put disguises on and hide behind newspapers and stuff to get away from all these girls chasing them. It's a bit like that there. And Somkat Chantra had that, and what he is doing and is going to do for the sport is going to be amazing because I mean,
it's already there, to be fair, the following, but yeah, it's going to make
it's already there, but think about it this way, though. Imagine if we had that sort of fan base in Europe. Imagine if we had Europeans going as mental as the Brits used to during the 1960s. Yeah. I mean, think about K-pop, for example. Meet the Copy kind of stuff. Sorry, I had to throw
that's all right.
K-pop. K-pop, look at BTS, for example. Their fan base is as fanatic as the Beatles fan base were. And the Asians, the Southeast Asians and Far Eastern Asians, when they're really into something, they're really into something.
Yeah, it's almost like it almost seems fake. They're crazy enthusiastic. It almost seems like it's like they're making it up. It's bonkers. You know, I actually thought Marquez got bigger cheers than Chandra at points, to be fair. But you could hear them at the last corner. You could hear the fans over the broadcast. Whether it doesn't matter if you were watching the live feed or if you were watching TNT or whatever, you could hear the fans. It was fantastic.
It was roaring.
And 234,000 over the whole weekend attended this Grand Prix.
I mean, that's just shy of 250,000
over 3
fans.
days. That is, of course, not a race day because that would be outrageous. But really, really big numbers.
So I mean, as well, it was with MotoGP. I felt like it was like the tale of 3 different rookies. You've got the very quiet, well put together, cool, and very talented Ogura.
He's just a bit like he's a bit like AI in a way.
AI Ogura, yeah.
And there was a lot of jokes of that. Sorry, I had to slip that in, but people come up with the jokes over the weekend. But he is.
You mean artificial insemination?
Of course, yes. What else would I mean?
Cool. And then you had Fermin Aldeguer, who was just sort of, I'm just going to be a rookie, and he was the most rookie of the rookies, I thought, because he was there. He did well. He was on a very, very great. He was on a great package, and the same team came P2 all weekend. Was P1 in a lot of testing with Alex Marquez.
Well, let's look at who he beat, Al. So he came home in 13th place. Not too bad. Look, still points in his debut. This is Grand Prix.
What's that, 2-3 points?
Yeah. So that is 3 points.
3 points.
Oliveira and Quartararo, Vinales, Rins, and Chantra Acosta, he beat. So, you know what? Not too bad. Okay? Yeah. It's always going to be... When Ogura had this much of an impressive debut, it's going to be hard to overcome that. I mean, Ogura's first race result was stronger than Acosta's. And the only person that's had a stronger weekend than this is Marc Marquez himself in 2013 at Qatar. So that itself is fantastic. And don't forget, folks, we're going to Argentina next. Now, we weren't there last year. The year before that in 2023 was wet. And Bezzecchi cleared off there, which sort of distorted what we would have truly seen in a dry track. Mm-hmm. The year before that, the Aprilias, as much as they're different now, the characteristics stay similar. So Aleix Espargaro, he was winning that race, made a mistake, and still managed to catch and win that race. So I think we are going to an Aprilia track next. Unfortunately, still without the world champion. We could have seen a lot. We could have seen Marc have better competition, I think you could argue, this weekend, if you did. We touched on Martin last week. Obviously, we know he wasn't there. Real shame. So we'll see what Ogura does next. But I think we need to remember they've just been testing at Thailand. Ogura's got a lot of data there. He's ready there. We're going to go to a track he's never tested before on a MotoGP bike. It's going to be harder. But it's an Aprilia track. Do you think it could he can still finish the same place, or do you think he'll be a bit lower?
Mate, it's an Aprilia track, but the Aprilia's completely changed. We haven't seen yet how the new Aprilia, the RSGP 2025 compares to the 2024, which, as far as we can see,
22,
as far as we can see, is a completely different bike. Because, as I keep saying, ever since we found it out, the new Aprilia is so different.
But some characteristics have been maintained.
Some characteristics have been maintained, aero, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the chassis is completely different. To a point where the 2024 engine wouldn't fit in the engine mounting points. And so it's a very, very, very different bike.
Yeah.
Yamaha also with a very different chassis as well, so we can see it's going to be very, very difficult because obviously your handling comes from your suspension, your chassis, your aero, all that sort of stuff. Not necessarily to do so much with your engine, but with the chassis changes that we've seen, the drastic chassis changes that Yamaha and Aprilia have had.
Yeah.
I think we can definitely see some. I think we can definitely expect the unexpected when it comes to those packages.
100%. And don't forget, obviously, going on to this year, the Yamaha and the Hondas, don't get Aprilia's can, but they can continue to develop with their concessions. Ducati can't. They're frozen with this engine now until the end of 2026, whereas the Honda and Yamahas aren't. But that's the conversation. Before you mentioned Yamaha, I'm glad we'll move on to Yamaha next and what they did. But since we're just wrapping up about Ogura and Aprilia, can't wait for some Gulf merch. How cool was that? I mean, it's not everyone's thing. Even my dad was like, "Oh, I recognise that. I'm not sure I like it." I was like, "You're joking, aren't you? Of all people."
It's baby blue. It's not everyone's.
No, it's not. But it worked well with the orange. To tell you what, with the reduced aero at the rear of that Aprilia, it looks so pretty. I mean, I'm someone who just defends the aero in MotoGP because it's a prototype series, but it looked almost like a 250 with that livery.
Yeah.
And Ogura being quite small and compact, isn't he? It looked really cool. So if anyone's bothered by team merch or like spending some money, then I think Trackhouse would be stupid not to do a limited run of that. But I'll keep an eye out for that, folks. And I know a few people on Twitter that said, "I've already searched. It's not there." It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But Alex mentioned Yamaha.
Yeah.
I mean, fire away about the surprise of Jack. Again, we were saying what we had a walk the other day. Remember when Jack surprised everyone in his first KTM week and it brought him out? Everyone thought, "Oh, they're nowhere," and then Jack come out of nowhere. Same again.
Well,
Ish.
I hope not. Different track, very, very different track, and I hope not because
it was higher than we thought, wasn't it?
He was a lot higher than we thought.
Yeah.
So Jack, highest point scoring Yamaha off the weekend. Obviously, he had his mistake in the sprint, but I mean, he beat all the other Yamahas, top Yamaha in the main race. Fabio had some interesting thoughts on why Jack beat all the other Yamahas, why Jack was so successful. Yeah. And he was extremely successful in the sprint as well, until it sort of went a bit tits up.
Well, until he did a little bit of a Jack thing, but...
He did a bit of a Jack thing, yeah. But it's just classic Jack, isn't it? It's really annoying. He does really, really well, and then it all goes wrong. But either way, Yamaha, I thought, were incredibly impressive all weekend. We had Fabio in the points in the race, in the sprint, and Fabio did an incredible job all weekend. Apart from, I just don't know what happened to him in the race. It must have been a technical. Because he was climbing and then all.
He's not saying a great deal to me, but he didn't care that Jack had done that much better. He was happy that he knows that the performance of the M1, the current M1, new M1, is there. And that Jack can release the brake a bit better. It's something to do under braking, but without stealing too many journos quotes. There's nothing massively public about it. But he was smiling in the post-race interviews with the journos in the when they sat down. Is it a ring? When they sat down on the table, you can see the pictures. But yeah, he was smiling. He's a happy guy, and he knows that it's probably a bit of a bogey track for Yamaha anyway in Buriram, to be honest. And I think Yamaha. Maybe not Austin, Argentina maybe even more so. But when we get to the European season, when that fires off at Le Mans, that'll be a big race for Fabio. If the Yamaha has improved by a quarter of a second or more, that's a track where I think it can show. The weird track's coming for Yamaha, to be honest. I don't know what Oliveira's going to be doing. I don't know if he can meet Fabio or Jack's performances right now. He's in a bit of no man's land, really, if I'm honest, right now.
Well, Oliveira beat Quartararo in the main race.
Well, this is it.
By 0.4.
Yeah. That's very specifically remembered. Well done.
It's just one of those things. I mean, obviously, it's pretty fresh in my mind. It's just one of those things.
This is why it's good that we're recording on a Monday.
It's nice recording on a Monday.
It's really nice.
Fresh. I've not had too many beers since the race day, so it's I've still got quite a lot of
Monday week.
Quite a lot of fresh knowledge. Yeah. It was also my wife's birthday weekend this weekend, so I missed the sprint all day Saturday because it was her birthday on Saturday, so we were up early on Saturday, out all day, and I was just like, I didn't see the sprint. But the sprint, I mean, was fucking dull. I watched it back, and it really was dull.
I expected more from. We'll coincide with that with this. I really expected more from Pecco this weekend. As the race progressed, I thought he was at least going to beat Alex Marquez.
He did.
And I genuinely think that he's going to have a talking to from head management at Ducati. As much as it's nice, it's not an official entry. Alex Marquez bike. It's last year's bike. If it was Martin, like an official Ducati bike, or Gian Antonio, a 25 bike, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look good on Pecco. He'll have he will come back stronger. I really believe it, and that's not just because I like to tell everyone, "Oh, the sport's not getting boring." No, Pecco will come back. I do think he'll come back. I think there will be weekends where Pecco will initially be stronger than Marc, but that's not to say that Marc won't just come back in the race and kick his ass anyway.
How many opening races have we seen how many opening parts of the season have we seen in the last few years where the rider doesn't the rider doesn't continue on their streak? I mean, think about Marco Bezzecchi year before last, 2023, where people were like, fucking hell. I mean, it's like his second year in MotoGP and he's going to win the World Championship.
Well, I think what?
What?
The
start
of 2023 at Portimao. That was the first year of sprints, yeah?
Yeah.
The first sprint ever was bonkers, but Pecco still won it and still won the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
People thought, in for a long year. Well, that's just what's happened now. It's just that Marc did win more convincingly.
It is amazing, isn't it, how you think back to 2023 where we had the first sprints.
Yeah.
And
into the third year now.
Yeah, that's mad. But you think about how brutal that first sprint was.
Where
we had the Marini-Bastianini collision.
And that righted them off for a lot of races.
Yeah, it wrote them off for a lot of races. Oliveira was constantly injured because of sprints, and Marc Marquez. And
yeah, well,
and it was relentless, wasn't it? Yeah. And now we're seeing sprint races where, I mean, let's have a look at the sprint race on here. Who didn't finish the sprint race? Didier and Miller.
Yeah.
People
have learned you can't.
The first sprint race, it was like half the bloody field. I mean, I think everybody scored points in the first.
Because if you do mess around like that and you hurt yourself, that's it. You sold it for Sunday, or you sore for Sunday, and you're not fit enough for Sunday.
It took them all a while to get used to. Well, it didn't take them a while. It took them all a few rounds to get used to how sprint formats work, I think.
I saw a comment someone saying on socials saying, "Well, like people were this is just after the sprint on Saturday." Someone said, "Well, this is all fine and well saying Ogura finished fourth, but Sunday's where it matters." Well, it is, but at the same time, that isn't untrue because you get points in the sprint, and to say it doesn't matter is incorrect because sprints is why Jorge Martin was world champion. Yeah. You know, Pecco not finishing well in the sprints is the reason Martin was champion. So sprints do matter. It's just that, you've got to take it more cautiously. But back to what we're saying, we will touch it now. No one was beating him that last weekend. No one was touching him. And he was even playing.
He was
playing with Alex. He was playing with Pecco. No chance with anyone catching him. And this tyre pressure debacle, Alex, this is messy. Conspiracy theorists, you might have a slight point. I don't think you do. I think Marc did get a warning on his dash. There's no way at this level you risk backing off because you're bored, because you don't know what can happen. But
all sorts was going through my head. I was thinking, if they had like a fucking deal or some sort of thing, like, if you just let me, Alex Marquez, if you just let me lead for a little bit, I'd really appreciate. Yeah, black, go on, and then I'll be
because they're brothers.
But, but it's all these weird ideas came into my head because it was so weird. And
I couldn't believe it when he backed off. I thought it's a technical. Something's wrong with the bike. Something's obviously wrong with the bike.
When Jack Appleyard was interviewing people in pit lane, literally there and then during the race, which we very rarely get, Davide Tarlozzi was like, "Bah, no," and then and everybody was just like, "The fuck is he doing?"
Yeah.
But I did find it interesting when he got into Parc Ferme.
Yeah.
Marc was sort of like celebrating with everyone, like, "Wow!" And then Davide Tarlozzi sort of breaks through the crowd and just goes, "Hey, come here." sort of didn't do that, but he was just sort of like said something to him,
No
very sort of stern,
laundry sort of thing.
very sort of not stern, but kind of, you know, said something to him, and Mark went, okay, yeah. And then, because obviously he was just about to have the Jack Appleyard interview after the race.
Yeah.
So I think he was telling him, don't say this, don't say that.
Yeah. So that is...
Because he is Captain Team Orders, isn't he? He is Double O Town, obviously.
Well, he lives and breathes and sleeps and dreams Ducati, and he has done since the 90s.
Don't make us look an arse.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Mark made Pecco look quite average this weekend, and I think it's fair to say that.
He did, yeah.
There's a clip I sent you today. I don't know if you saw it. It's Italian TV. Was it Spanish TV? Anyway, I think it's Italian TV. This is in the pits after the race, and it's Tadozzi, Gigi Dall'Igna talking to Pecco, and Pecco says, "I do know what happened," and when we talk after, I thought, what? Because I translated it. You can translate it. What's going on here? I just hope... I said this before.
Oh, you said it to me today while I was at work. I just never opened it. Yeah.
I said this before. Is there going to be... They're not going to turn their back on their Italian golden boy just because Mark's there. They can't. They need to support both. But if Pecco isn't mentally strong enough, he's going to be in trouble because Mark will ride circles around him. If he hasn't already started to do that. And Mark is already... Pecco knows he's mentally stronger. Pecco, he probably shouldn't have said it, but he did say to the media today, Mark was playing with us today. At least he knows. But he needs to up his game fast. If he wants to, I don't know if he already has, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't seen a sports psychologist like Martin. But if it continues like this and it affects him, and he starts deteriorating, crumbling, then something like that might help him because he's too good to crumble. And if Mark destroys him and he falls out with Ducati, I'm hoping we'll not end up with a Vignales situation. Remember that at Yamaha?
Oh, Jesus.
I think I'm getting ahead of myself there. I just don't want it to get to that level. I think we want a healthy rivalry where Pecco can be as good, if not better, than Mark. That's also wishful thinking because we need a championship.
I mean, Vignales at Yamaha, he was the gaffer of that team, wasn't he? You know.
Since Valentino was last year at Petronas, wasn't he? And then Vignales was with Fabio. It was with Fabio, and then Fabio was already kicking his ass.
Yeah,
and then
it's a bit like
I think Pecco's more professional than Vignales. I don't think Pecco is the type of guy.
It's a bit like a Moreira Foggia Moto2 situation, isn't it? But Foggia didn't try and blow his engine up.
No.
But he did get to Moto3. What was I going to say? Someone else that had an unexpected weekend was Pedro Acosta.
The KTMs, man.
Oh, man, what is going on with the KTMs?
By the way, the hell is what with that rear end? Honestly, they're going to have to counteract that with the rest of it. It looks heavy. And it is. It's going to weigh like a kilogram or two. So it's not good. And I'm not the only one. I'm not just generalising there because I'm not technically minded. You guys know, but you're going to have to counteract that. You are going to have to counteract that at the front. But yeah, what a mess! And I can't believe after all we were seeing, Bastianini. What was he, P11 in the race? No, he wasn't. Bastianini.
I mean, in the sprint, it was a nightmare. He was 27.
Sorry, P9, beg your pardon. P9. And obviously now, if you look at this is incredible. And here Bastianini is P9 in the standings. How did that happen? How on earth did he do that? Fair play to Enea Bastianini. Shout out, because it still proves that he is that magical guy with tyres in a Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Really impressive. I can't believe I'm reading it.
Yeah. Especially because all through testing, Bastianini was saying, this isn't working. My riding style doesn't suit the KTM, blah, blah, blah. And then it all sort of came into fruition a bit on Friday, Saturday, when we saw him not doing so well in the practice sessions, in qualifying, and then when he was 27 seconds off of his obviously his sprint race winning pace the year before, it was 27 seconds slower.
Yeah,
we were just like, fuck, that's it. We're going to lose Bastianini now. And then when he came back in the main race, I mean, something must have flipped, and I don't know.
Well, he was saying to the media that I can still ride how I like. in terms of, well, they changed a few bits. They changed a few bits of the race, and he can still save the tyre, and that's why he was carving his way through.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good to see. Yeah, really good to see. When you consider the fact that teammate Maverick Vinales in the same race finished 16th, he was 9th. So yeah, so he's the second highest KTM in the standings.
Yeah, which is mad.
Which is, if you could have put a lot of money on that. I mean, Pedro Acosta, you started off with saying that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll go back. Had a nightmare weekend. It just takes a bit of a shine off his first race last year in Qatar. Goodness me, Alex, I hope they find a track soon or something soon that pushes them back up to the top, because they're way off.
They're way off. I mean,
the Honda's almost as fast now. If you consider where Zarco is and how well Poor Joe and Mir, how well he was doing.
I was so angry. I was so angry when he crashed.
Yeah.
And the thing that I was most angry about was I could just see the post on like something on Facebook, whatever, and a picture of him crashing and all the people laughing about it. It's like, idiots. Fuck off. He's top Honda at the moment. He's absolutely brilliant. And he was doing such a great job. And all you can do is laugh about the fact that he crashed. Like, Kurt Osberg has crashed. It's like, I'm sorry, but he's pushing the fuck out of that Honda. Yeah. He's going to make that Honda great. And Zarco is as well. And I think the rest of the guys are as well. I think even Marini
got very mature
and
experienced heads on those bikes. Chantra's a nice little addition, actually. You know, yeah. But you're right, Mir. He's not getting a lot of credit. Look, crashing isn't good, and he lost points for Honda there. And thankfully, Zarco was able to bring it home in, of course, sensible 7th Zarco. That's very Zarco.
Yeah,
that's good though, because sometimes last year it'd be 11th, 12th would be okay for him.
And he was just outside the points in the sprint as well.
Yeah.
So
yes, yeah. You know, they're doing okay. But the thing, what we were saying was about KTM. We haven't forgot what we were talking about. This is the worst they've looked. This is probably for about 4 years, because at start of 2022 they weren't as strong as 21 with Binder won that freak race in Austria. They haven't won a race since, I think, 2022 with Miguel Oliveira. I think it was probably Buriram.
Buriram, yeah. Itself,
and I think he also won in Indonesia in 2022 as well. So, but that wet races. So I just hope they find gains soon, because I wonder if they're going to have to take it to these lawyers to justify MotoGP. What the way results then, if you want to justify, say, because otherwise they'll be looking at it. Well, this is the biggest waste of money, in your outgoings is MotoGP.
Yeah.
Because I really hope for that reason.
And then they start looking at stuff like, we've got Pedro Acosta, who's a generational talent. Yeah, but he's not doing much, is he? He's scored about 2 points all weekend.
And he's financed. Boys and girls aren't going to give a shit.
4 points all weekend, Pedro Acosta scored.
That's bad. That's a weekend to forget for him. Yeah. Pedro's very hard on himself. Like this, very hard on himself. So you'd hope he'll come back swinging. And the same for Brad Binder, very mediocre for Brad. Another person like Enea, who's known for being a Sunday man. P8, I think it's probably the best he could manage. And Brad in the standings is 7th. So yeah, typical Brad, bringing it home, top in the standings as we speak.
Yeah, I think before we move on to Moto2, Moto3, I really, really, really hope this hard charge of Marquez comes through. I'm going to put an opinion across now.
Yeah.
I would really, really like Marc Marquez to show the world that Pecco Bagnaia, as great a rider as he is, he's not as good as Marc Marquez. So all of the people that have been laughing about Marc Marquez when he crashes, calling him a twat, calling him all sorts of names because he's not Rossi. All the Rossi fans, I want them to all just fucking have a look at what they've got.
Yeah.
Because Marc Marquez is a generational talent. He's incredible.
The thing is, I've started saying, guys, you finish. Yeah, he is generational talent. Yeah.
And also he's towards the end of his career. We know that we've only got Marc Marquez for a couple of years.
Depends how interested he is, isn't he? Really?
Yeah.
Because in 2 years' time, he'll be 34.
Yeah. I mean, I know Rossi was like fucking 40 odd when he retired, but
you just reminded me of something. I'm glad because I didn't write this down, but I thought of it last night. And when Rossi moved to Ducati in 2011, it turned out to be a big mistake.
Yeah.
To the factory team, Rossi was 32. He just turned 32. Marc has just turned 32. He's gone to the Ducati factory team, right?
Mm.
Now, Rossi spent 2 years there, had a nightmare. Marquez will not have a nightmare. He might even win both titles in these 2 years. But by the time Rossi went back to Yamaha after that spell, so he's 34, 35, when he went back to Yamaha.
When Yamaha was good.
And he went all the way till he was 41. Now, I'm not saying Marc is going to be interested for that long, because that was a very abnormal spell for a rider. Unless you're that successful, of course. But what's to say Marc, for the 850 era, I'll stay for the 850s. And then Marc can go to Honda and have a fairy tale championship with Honda.
Can you imagine?
I think that he'd still be young enough. He'll still be fast enough. His arm's in the right position now. He's still young. He's clearly one of the fittest. If you consider how hot it was in Buriram, he's clearly one of the fittest. And I know he's not got people in front of him, so he's not getting the heat off his bikes.
But he did have about 10 laps with his brother in front of him.
Well, yeah, he had no choice. He had no choice for that, didn't he? And he did say he was getting really hot in front of him. But yeah, I think, as much as I believe it, I've already seen some of the Rossi people already saying, how can people say this? He's on the best bike again. Of course he's winning. So, for fuck's sake.
Oh, fuck's sake. You
Honestly,
just can't please him.
You can't.
Like, I'm a Valentino Rossi fan. Big fan. Massive appreciation for what he did for the sport. I'm a massive Marc Marquez fan. I'm like one of those people who likes rugby league and rugby union.
Yeah.
I'm not on the fence about it. I like both.
Yeah.
And liking both
it's
isn't bad. Liking one shouldn't be bad for the other. It's like, I don't know football at all. It's like Manchester United versus Liverpool sort of thing. I've got massive appreciation for them both. Well, I don't, because I don't care about football. I think it's shit. But I think that with Marc, what he's doing is so impressive. He's had so many years of horrendous injury, horrendous time at Honda, and now being on the Ducati is just awesome. I love seeing him win. I love seeing Alex Marquez win, because we're so used to seeing Alex Marquez on the Honda, where, Repsol Honda, then to LCR, then it's just...
Do you remember that random guy at Silverstone campsite that came up to us banging on about, you wait till Alex Marquez gets on that Ducati, you wait till next year. You remember that? And then we'd had a few drinks.
I think I was quite pissed.
He kept coming back over to us and saying, don't forget what I said about Alex Marquez. But yeah, cool, yeah. You're probably right. Yeah, I bet he's laughing now, to be fair. But Alex is...
I think he will win a few races this year, I reckon.
100%. Yeah. And he'll really be loving beating Pecco. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
Especially after what happened with those two last year at Aragon.
I also love the idea of having a generation, even if it's only for a few years or whatever, where it's Marquez brothers, the Marquez brothers era. Yeah. Like, how fucking great would that be?
Good.
Marc wins a lot of races, wins a few championships, and then you've got Alex Marquez. When Marc isn't winning, Alex is winning. Not because of anything else, just because of a generation that we're in. It would be really cool to, have an era where we name the era after. Again. We've got the Rossi era. We've got the Marquez era. But what about the Marquez brothers era?
Yeah,
it's just like selling points.
I think we're going to go through a bit of it this year, depending on... Alex Marquez does have a tendency to have off races or where he's just nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how often that's going to happen this year. But I'll be more interested to see what happens when it gets tasty, where Marc hasn't got this stupid advantage and they have to put hard moves on each other. That's going to be really interesting, because it could make it awkward if... And let's be honest, it's probably going to be more Marc putting the hard moves. You'd have to assume that Alex is going to be a little more backy-offy.
Yeah.
Because that's the same.
That's get out of the dictionary.
Yeah. But by the way, before we finish MotoGP, anyway, the tyre pressure gate thing. I said this, didn't I? And I was like, I told you so. We haven't had a bloody test yet with the next gen tyre, and I said it a year and a half ago.
Why are they not testing with the next gen tyre?
It won't make overnight progress. I know that. I mean, someone said that to me when I was banging on about it on X the other day. But it needs to happen for next year. We can't have a whole year of. I mean, this probably will happen again. Maybe not. The pressure
It was
isn't always down to air
abnormal
temperature.
conditions. It's abnormal
It
conditions.
is, but that doesn't always
40
mean
degrees air temperature, 60-degree track temperature.
But it isn't always due to the air temp, is it? It can be. It's not going to make it any better, but that was embarrassing for the sport, really.
It was embarrassing.
Yeah. I was watching TNT because we've recently just got TNT now as well as the video pass. And Neil Hodgson couldn't help but say, I'm sorry, I know I shouldn't say this, but that's really embarrassing. That's really bad. I'll use another word he used, but yeah, he didn't curse or anything, obviously, but he was... Obviously, commentators aren't really supposed to say anything against the sport.
Yeah.
And he couldn't help it. And he was right. It was embarrassing. Jeremy McWilliams also said on X Grand Prix Racing, he was said the most confusing, weird race ever, that the fastest guy has to back off. I mean, what? At this level, it's absolutely nuts. We've heard of tyre saving before. Yeah. That's something different. We went for a generation where people had to conserve tyres is different.
Yeah.
The actual compound, but pressure.
We know why the rules are there. We know that it's to stop manufacturers from putting too little pressure into tyres, which is dangerous.
Yes.
Before a race. But come on, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, there needs to be lines on now.
Yeah.
And Michelin are keen to renew, aren't they? I think for the next tyre contract.
They're desperate to, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you better check up your game.
Better sort your fucking tyres out first.
Well, the thing is, this is what I'm on about. Maybe Michelin okay, Dorna, you want a better tyre. We've got to get everyone organised after the Jerez Grand Prix. And we need a test. We need a 2-day test with this tyre. And you're not allowed to use current tyres. And then you pay the teams to stay there because the teams are like, well, wait, this is costing us money then to run the bikes. Dorna will have to, and Michelin, okay, we'll pay you to stay then to test them because the teams won't do it for free. And the mechanics are pushed enough as well. All these concession teams are pushed enough to do all these tests and all these races. They don't ever go home. So it's going to be hard. But if you don't do it, we're just going to see more, episodes of what we saw on Sunday, which was embarrassing. To a degree,
I'd imagine it did make the race a little bit more exciting, though, didn't it? For about 30 seconds.
It did. Which also, that's where the conspiracy
theories... Which I suppose is why some people aren't whinging so much.
Matt was told to back off, I don't think
this race is boring. No, it's bollocks. Absolute bollocks.
He didn't have something on the dash that said, back off, this is boring. Let's 73 through for fun.
Yes.
No, anyway. Move on from that.
Let's
just hope we don't see any more farces like that again this year. Fingers crossed. Alex.
Let's talk about something more interesting. I thought the Moto2 race this year at Thailand was really good. There were parts of the Moto2 race that were fucking dull.
Yeah.
But I really, really think that from last year, definitely onwards, Moto2 has taken a massive turn into the realms of being basically MotoGP without wings and launch devices and
fast as hell,
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's fast as hell. Moto2 bikes are now doing 2013 MotoGP bike times.
2013 now? 20.
Was it 2011?
I thought it was 2008 that Danny's.
No, it wasn't. It was 20. It was like 2011, 2012.
Maybe it's a couple of ones then, because I know that the 08 Danny Pedrosa pole or something like that. Actually, no, 08 was Lorenzo. Jerez. Anyway, it's an 08 800 lap that Moto2 are now lapping at, which is insane. Considering, I think some of those bikes had qualifying tyres, and qualifying tyres are worth nearly 2 seconds.
I thought it was 2013 Marc Marquez.
Anyway, look. It doesn't matter. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Pirelli might have something to do with that. You could argue.
Yes. Either way, Moto2 was bloody good. I really, really thought it was great because all the commentators and everyone in the media has got so many different ideas of who's going to be the Moto2 world champion this year, because it's very, very difficult when you think about it last year, where we had a ridiculous amount of different race winners, a ridiculous amount of podium sitters, different pole sitters.
Yeah.
I mean, almost half the field last year won a race at some point, which is just insane.
What did you think of the performance of? I mean, I thought one of the surprises might be Huertas, but I don't think he's been there before.
So I want to talk about the rookies.
Yeah. You go for it, man. I mean, I think we all know who the most impressed. Well, Senna Aegis isn't a rookie, but he impressed me massively while getting a penalty for putting one off.
Of the sophomore guys.
Sophomore
guys. So the Americans love that sort of shit. The sophomore guys, so Aegis, Moreira, incredibly impressive.
That was
and their fucking battle towards the end. It was like a MotoGP race in that the first few laps are very intense. The middle of it is sort of a little bit dull, apart from the Aegis-Vietti collision. And then the end of the race was just awesome. I mean, goal for the first two. I mean, Gonzalez and Canet were away with the fairies. They were gone. But Moreira and Aegis, wow.
Great battle. Do you know what? I expected Aegis to leave him because I thought Moreira was done, whether it be fatigue or the tyres. Moreira kept coming back swinging.
Wow, so cool.
And he didn't give up. And I think I still sort of, he's going to lose this battle, but he didn't give up. It was brilliant. Brilliant to watch.
2.5 tenths of a second as well. 2.5 tenths.
I think he's going to be a force to reckon with. I mean, Gonzalez won't win every race. He is obviously the strongest.
Yeah.
It's basically the same top two as we probably predicted with switched around. Don't ask me what we predicted for before last week because I can't remember.
I was impressed by a lot of riders that I thought I'd be disappointed by. One of them I thought I'd be disappointed by was Barry Baltus, and I was not disappointed by Barry Baltus.
No,
he rode a great race.
He did.
It was that battle for 6th place. That was quite. So we saw a little bit of it. That was quite good. It was between Baltus, Dixon, and
safe finishes.
Oh fuck, Holgado.
Yeah, that was impressive. Lucky start.
Because I wanted to talk about Holgado and how amazing Holgado was.
What a start!
Where did that come from?
Yeah, that was really impressive for Holgado, and he kept his head, and he sort of followed and learnt a lot. And Jake was obviously saying, keep behind me, which obviously asking him about the 3 riders to do. And he did listen to him. He did follow him. Jake actually did that twice, I think, from what I saw. Now, stay behind me, follow me. At first I thought, does he think it's David Alonso, his old mate? But Alonso obviously is injured, so I'm not really going to shit on his result, which was obviously P21, which was reflective of his injury, frankly. But Holgado, fantastic. By the way, quick one back to Aegis. I thought Vietti took that really well. I thought he was going to go more mental than he did in the gravel track because I would have lost my shit at that.
They both went for the same line. Aegis' penalty was just, and he took it like a man, and Vietti took it like a man as well. I'm pretty sure Vietti has put that move on people before as well. And I think that Vietti, even though it wasn't an overtaking hotspot where it happened, it was like 10-10 or something like that.
It wasn't at all. That's the third to last corner,
and you just don't overtake there. It's a left-handed kink sort of thing, isn't it? You just don't overtake there. And Aegis like, I'm coming in. Oh wait, I'm not braked enough, and then fuck off.
It's hard to even justify that move. It's hard to even justify that move on the last lap because everyone waits till that last corner, don't they, really?
So people are going to be shitting on Aegis for that sort of thing, and they're going to be why he didn't deserve to get a podium and all that sort of... He did deserve to get a podium. Vietti took it on run. Aegis
took his penalty and caught back up.
So spot on.
110%, mate, yeah.
Absolutely. I think the most impressive rider of that race for me was Danny Holgado.
Yeah, I think as a rookie, that's a fair shout, mate. Yeah, I think...
mainly because he's a rookie. We never expect to see a rookie in P8.
No.
And P8 is just awesome for a rookie.
I think that's a fair
First
one.
ever race as well. And remember that they haven't tested here. This is his first time on a Moto2 bike at Buriram. That's impressive. Because the only places where they have tested the Moto2 bikes is Jerez and Portimao. So Danny Holgado's he was impressive during testing. So imagine when we actually get to Jerez and Portimao this year, and
it must be making Alonso really itch.
Intense heat as well.
Yeah,
intense heat.
Yeah. It's a real test.
They've obviously got the Pirelli tyres in Moto3, but it doesn't marry up to what goes on in Moto2. So
the bike feels completely different. It's a big, like they always say, a lot of it is a bigger step anyway. Than Moto2 to MotoGP, but really good from him. I will say that he might. Alonso must be thinking, I wish I wasn't injured. I could do the same as you. I mean, naturally, a sportsman's
probably
going to think
could.
that. He probably could.
Probably good.
Jack Dixon, good shout out to him. He didn't send it to the moon in any practice session. He took home points, finishing 7th.
Yeah.
Good start to the season for you Brits who watch and listen to us.
And for Ultimate VDS. Because
Salach was
his
looking
teammate
good.
Salach wasn't far behind him.
No, he wasn't. Salach P9, and he was looking good all weekend, to be fair. And he's had a bit of a... He needs to do well this year, because last year was a bit lacklustre. So.
I'm learning Czech at the moment, so when I'm not rooting for...
Oh, you should have said.
Well... God, I'm so close to slapping you just then. Salach is one of my favourites as well, because he's Czech, so I'm just like, yeah.
Well, we're going to Brno as well. I've never said that.
And we're going to Brno. Yeah. And we're going to Brno.
I'll tell you what. I'm looking forward to seeing the inevitable banners and signs that they'll have for him. He'll have a big following there, you'd think, in theory.
Bloody hope so. Tell you who really impressed me until it all went wrong with his tyres was Mario Aggi.
Yeah.
About fucking time we saw something with Mario Aggi. He's been there for a while.
He was happy. Yeah.
Well, I know he's not been in Moto2 for a while, but he's.
No.
He's been in the Grand Prix paddock for a while and always had pretty results.
Yeah, a couple of years now. Maybe 3, maybe 3rd season. But really, really good showing from him. I mean, again, his experience in Asian tracks help. We'll see. I really hope he continues that form. Darren Binder, did he have a long lap penalty? Refresh my memory.
Yeah, 2 long lap penalties.
That was it, yeah.
Him and Ethan Guevara.
Yes, because they jumped the start. I remember this now. Yeah,
They both jumped the start. They both got double long laps. And I think Ethan Guevara could have been... So do not look at Ethan Guevara's results and think he's still shit.
Pace. He really did.
His pace was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
As was Binder's.
Yeah.
So I really, really think that those two could have been in podium spots. Definitely Guevara. And Binder was really impressive. He was faster around the long laps than Guevara was. How long ago did we last top 5s? If not podiums out of those two. Team.
Both on the podium.
Both on the podium.
Think about it. That was impressive. I don't know.
That's amazing because we've had Schrotter on the podium in the past.
Yeah.
At the same time that he was partnered with
Tom Luke.
Tom Lucy and Schrotter.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, a long time ago. And there's a lot of liveries that are very similar right now. Really annoys me, Moto2. There's about 4 teams with that black and red combo.
Canet looked very, very, very similar to Aegis and Gonzalez when they were in a little trolley.
With a big Lino Sonigo sponsored bike. When the letters are so big, you can't actually read what it says. I don't understand liveries with gigantic stickers on, and you can't make out letters. That's OCD, sorry. Anyway, but yes, it is very close to that livery from a distance when they're coming towards you on the straight. And Vietti thrown in there with some, speed up colours. That was quite similar. But yeah,
I thought Canet was impressive.
Consistent that finish. Yeah,
it is. But remember how he started the race. Canet botched the start. Yeah. Had a shit start, and all the way back to like P7.
Yeah, good.
Something like that. And made a really good comeback. And just couldn't get anywhere close to Gonzalez. So for everyone that was predicting that Canet would win the race, you probably would have been right. He probably would have won that race had he not botched his start. And we could have actually had a pretty decent battle at the front between him and Gonzalez because Gonzalez was just untouchable.
In theory, yeah. Before we leave Moto2, rookie watch again. Well, rookie, really disappointed in Joe Roberts. Obviously couldn't get a good setting or feel all weekend. But frankly, with his stature in Moto2, he's an established rider, not good enough. But yeah, you got your rookies all in a row there. You got Valle, Alonso, and Ortola. 21st. Let's start again. 20th, 21st, and 22nd place.
Yeah,
not too bad. Finishing the race in heat like that, not binning it, which would be quite easy in that class. In that heat for the first time. So okay, fair enough. Zonta van der Gerburg. Don't worry, we will see him close to the front this year. Just a bit of a weird track this, and this heat has brought problems that would normally not occur. So and we had just a lot of long lap penalties. To be honest, in the junior classes.
But so rookies wise, we've got the World Supersport champion Adrian Huertas, who got himself 2 championship points. Pretty impressive. They're the only 2 the only two rookies to score championship points were Holgado and Huertas. Sorry, I've got this fucking really annoying. When I breathe back too much, is cough. Anyway, then like I thought Via was relatively impressive, but I mean,
it was okay. Yeah, we'll see.
Yuki Cooney. Yuki Cooney. I was like at the beginning of the year, like, who the fuck is this guy? But he's a very impressive rider from other classes. But I really didn't expect much from him. But he was like third top rookie, which is pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. So
we'll see what happens in Argentina. Obviously, a lot of tracks that these guys haven't been to on this kind of machinery, so we'll have to wait and see. We have to wait till round 5 before we get to the established tracks of the European season. So.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, what a difficult start to the year again for Sergio Garcia.
Joe, I was going to mention him about a minute ago, and I've forgotten. Of course, I forgot. It's a shame because I think he would have featured a lot. I mean, ifs and buts mean nothing. I mean, we keep saying about Martin.
I really hope so. But obviously, he was replaced by so Sergio Garcia is injured, replaced by Oscar Gutierrez from Moto E, who came standard last.
I was going to say he finished standard last. Yeah. But look, you need a filling rider, and that's an end of it. So
Moto3.
Yeah. Good race that, and do you know what?
Mate, it was a war of attrition. Every single rider that crossed the line scored points.
I was cooking a bacon and... No, sorry, I'll start again. My girlfriend was cooking a sandwich, but I was back and forth with the puppy, and Dad's watching it, and every time I turned around, someone had binned it due to their heat. I thought, no, this is okay. The race is getting on course as people crashing. I thought, no, this is clearly more than normal. And it did start some rumours, didn't it, about shortening the MotoGP race distance, but it didn't happen in the end. But crazy, didn't you? Everyone finishing the points.
Everybody.
15 finishes in the Moto3.
15 riders, yeah.
Dangerous. I mean, you were saying about the handlebars being too hot to handle.
That's Scott Ogden.
Yeah. But Scott Ogden would have taken home a P4.
Fucking ridiculous. No, it was P6 I think he crashed out of.
I thought it was P5. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It would have been a racing start. It wasn't his fault. And there's no way someone from Doncaster should be that good at riding in those temperatures. So another...
Very true.
Shout out to Scott. But look, before we move on to everyone else, because you said he is going to have a much better year on that package.
Got to.
I can't wait to see. I mean, obviously, his best ever finish in Moto3 was actually in the next race in Argentina. We all remember that last lap shenanigans in 2023, don't we?
Yeah, and you remember who that was with?
Almanza?
Yeah. And who was his last lap shenanigan with this time? Almanza.
Yeah. So it could be like John McPhee and who was his nemesis? was it not Artiga?
Darren Binder, wasn't it?
No, I'm trying to remember the name of the guy. No, I'm trying to remember the name. Jeremy Alcoba. Yeah. So those two had a few comings together. But, Anyway, Scott do better this year.
We will. Yeah. But I did think it was really funny looking back at Argentina 2022. No, 2023.
Yeah.
2023. And Scott's interview afterwards, where he was like, yeah, and a couple of the riders were riding like idiots around me. And I was like, you've just bashed him off the track. You bashed Almanza off the track, Scott. What are you doing? And then Almanza was sort of like, Scott's doing quite well here. Let's bash him off instead. And it was. Almanza, there was definitely contact between Almanza and Ogden, and which sent Ogden into the goal track, basically.
Yeah. He's dying next to me here.
Sorry, mate. It's this fucking cold. I've had it for like 2 weeks.
Brilliant. So that would be now. Brilliant.
It's all snot and a really dry cough. It's great.
But yeah, hats off to the winner, Jose Antonio Rueda. That was a ridiculous gap he had in the end there. So fair play. And he should be now. He's going into his third season with arguably the most organised.
About time he showed some dominance, yeah.
So he's a lot of people's favourite. You can see why. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Carpe was incredibly impressive. Never been there before.
Unbelievable.
What a Dave of that team, fantastic. Fernandez is someone you predict to do well this year, and he performed well. But there was so many DNFs from riders that were at the front or should be at the front. But really, a lot of these riders are inexperienced and aren't used to this sort of temperatures. I'm so glad I'm so glad no one was like ill hurt, from this weekend, and we got away with it. Yeah, that's definitely a saying. I read it the other day.
Carpe was amazing. Then after him, I mean, do we really count Dennis Fodger as a fucking rookie? Really?
No.
I don't.
No.
But then after that, we're looking at Ruche Moodley from South Africa. I mean, great. Love that. But the big surprise of that race was Angel Paqueras.
Yes.
P12.
Yeah.
Shabba.
Yeah, Shabba. I don't... look, this... I think that's still points. He'll be fine. He will come back.
But Uriarte, Cruces and Buchanan all got points as well. Buchanan fell off.
Yeah.
Buchanan fell off because he barged into Eddie O'Shea.
Yes,
and he still gained points. So gaining points in that Moto3 race doesn't mean anything.
You're British when poor Eddie, he's a good lad. You're British when you can tell it's him before the commentators has.
Yeah,
that's Eddie O'Shea. And I'll tell a lie. I can see on the left hand side his name was putting on the tiles. Like, no, and there he is.
Of course he has.
Yeah, but yeah, thankfully everyone's okay.
Yeah, it was brutal, but
Speaking of brutal, Munoz, what a surprise!
Oh, bastard!
Yeah, and this is his
he is a bastard.
fourth season, I believe. Or did he do a bit of 2021 as well?
Because he was
all
right
of 22,
2021, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He joined in at Silverstone.
No, we saw him at Silverstone.
We saw Le Mans
in 22.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
he was immediately fast, wasn't he?
He was immediately fast, but immediately aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there is a single rider in the Moto3 in a Moto3 grid that has not been wronged by David Munoz.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
To a point where the head of BOE was just like, who the fuck is this kid? Let's get rid of him. Get rid of him. He's shit. Like all he does is crash into people. But Jose Boa was right, because when we went to literally the first round of the year.
Yeah, it's already like that, and he's gonna get penalty points. They need to be properly reintroduced again. To be honest with you, because he's not gonna get the message, and he's still a teenager, I believe. Off the top of my head,
he is. Yeah, he's only like 18, 19. No,
he must be nearly 20 now, surely. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. We're talking about pure dangerous riding now, and Moto3. The whole idea was to reduce the grid. Everyone had to be 18 and above, unless you were a champion in a previous category. And it has worked this to a degree. It's not 2021 or 2020 when you can watch the last lap at certain races and it's just stupid and lethal. Yeah. But he is still too dangerous for that sport, and
he is.
Yeah. And it's not a contact sport. So I'm hoping people like Simon Crafar can give him a verbal kick up the arse, because he needs it.
He does. He really, really needs it. He was bloody dangerous. And so I'm kind of glad of what happened to him. He got the long lap penalty, and I've seen that he is getting a penalty for Argentina.
Okay, I didn't see that. So that's And they should have it just registered.
It's a pit lane start for Munoz in Argentina. Thank God, and hopefully we'll see a few race bans if he carries on the way he's going, because he's just dangerous. And I'm not even going to show any remote support for a rider who has no respect for anyone else's well-being.
It's nice to see someone turn things around. If that happens, fine.
Yeah. Yeah, but he hasn't.
Yeah, he's had a long time to
it. Yeah. Anyway, Kouasri, really, really annoying finish to his home Grand Prix. He was actually doing quite well.
Yeah.
And then my biggest disappointment of the race, though, was Furzato.
Mm-hmm. You were
having his own little crash. Just tucked the front on lap 8, at turn 3, and I was just, fucking hell, Tyre, come on.
That's twice at this track in a row.
He was doing so well. Yeah. He just set the fastest lap of the race as well.
He is probably one of the fastest. No, he isn't probably. He is one of the fastest riders in this category. He does just still need taming. Yeah, I always say that. Yeah, you say that. He does need taming now, and people like Hiroshi Oyama around him. He's got good people around him. Are they good enough? Because it is so important for these riders to have good people around them. One of the best podcasts, motorcycle racing podcasts around. We all know Off Track and Dave. He hasn't asked me to give him a plug, by the way. He doesn't need plugging. He's got a lot of viewers. We spoke to Neil Hodgson recently, and Neil Hodgson was saying what we always say, and these riders need good people around them. It makes all the difference. I'm not saying that Team Asia aren't good to Furisato. I'm sure they're very, very good. And look what happened to Ogura. Yes, he moved to MT Helmets MSI to win the championship, but look, I just hope that. I mean, can you imagine what would happen if he moved to another team immediately started winning races? Well, we don't know because he's got another year yet, but with this team, I just think he needs nurturing more. The speed's there. You can almost say the same about Munoz. Not want to bring him back up again, but. Is it a people around him thing? I don't know. Could it just be a mental thing, or will Furisato get to a state where he just stops crashing and he can just win and win? I think it could be one of those riders that as soon as he does win, he makes a habit of it.
Well, going back to Munoz, I mean, this is his second team that we've seen him in a Moto2. And Jose Barro was always banging on about how reckless and aggressive he is, unnecessarily aggressive, even at times of the race where you wouldn't be aggressive. Which is basically what happened with him in Lunetta. He was having a... What the fuck was that?
Another one. Yeah.
You need to change that. That's tragic. That's tragic, mate. It's tragic.
It's not as bad as some people, though. Some people have a good, bad, the ugly thing, don't they?
Ugh. Or the old 24 one. Anyway.
Hey, moving on. Let's move on from Munoz. But yeah, Furisato, it's disappointing because he's so much better. That's our point, is that he's so much better than that.
And he was pissed off with himself. I mean, it was just a very, very, very silly mistake to make. And he was holding his hands up at the end. I was like, yeah.
Do you still think he'll win his first race this year?
100%.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Good. Well, 99%. Well, like 95. Yeah. I really, really, really hope so anyway. Another rider, Japanese rider that I was expecting a bit more out of was Yamanaka, but
he was doing well as well.
He was doing so well. Yeah. Yamanaka was looking great. I mean, I'm not disappointed by Yamanaka because he's improving, definitely.
Yeah.
And crashed out of a really strong position. I mean, Yamanaka was climbing up through the order. But yeah, I mean, Turn 5 caught a lot of people out over the weekend, and Yamanaka was one of them. Yeah. So yeah, it was a massive, massive shame.
I think it will come good though. In fact, a lot of the stuff we said about these Moto3 riders, I think we need to take with a pinch of salt, given the most extreme conditions probably since India 2023.
Do we think Vaqueros could have done better if he didn't have that collision with Kelso?
Yes, probably. It might have got into his head, but it depends. We don't know how strong mentally some of these riders are yet when, we haven't seen enough of them. So we'll have to wait and see. Look, Argentina, at least, yes, it's not a track we haven't been to last year, and they don't test there, but it's still going to be cooler. At least that will balance things out, in theory, a bit more.
I was surprised to see Batelli on pole, I'm not going to lie. But
that
was really weird.
He's fast, but really inconsistent. Lunetta is someone that was consistently quick over the weekend. I wouldn't surprise.
P5 on the grid,
Yeah, he can win races this year. Lunetta. Yeah. Really exciting young talent he is. And
just as long as you don't let him anywhere near Munoz, he'll be fine.
Yeah, fingers
crossed.
It's
like in Moto2. Don't let any of the British riders go anywhere near Alonso Lopez.
If we had a pound every time we said that.
Fucking Alonso Lopez. Fucking suck it, Lopez.
Right. I think we're almost there. Be fair, I think we are there, really. I mean,
we are there, yeah.
Next week we'll probably do, we will do a podcast, we'll do it weekly. Potentially have a guest on. We'll have a think, and obviously, that will also be the... Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, that's just hope he didn't listen to the previous episode. Yeah. Next week will also be the Argentinian preview as well. And by the way, we'll know just as much as we know now. So it'll just be a bit of a pointless episode, but we'll digress. We'll talk. It's been a long day. We'll talk about other things other than just the next race. But yeah, we're always talking about who to have on next as a guest. And it's not like we give up, because obviously we had Keith Ewan, we had Cooper. We had Cooper on. Yeah, we did have a dog on, to be fair.
We had Cooper
but we had Keelan McNamara on. Thanks again for that. So he'll be on again in the coming weeks. So yeah, we'll see where we are.
In case anybody is wondering why Cooper isn't here this week,
that is the dog, by the way.
The dog. She's upstairs, and I think we'll have to put something on our Facebook or something as to why she's not here this week. It's a screenshot that Jimmy sent me of last week's recording where she bit my elbow. And, it was like, honestly, puppy's teeth. If you've never had a puppy before, or those of you who have had a puppy before,
what did you do after
Jesus fucking Christ! Why have they got needles for teeth? It's just sort of like
yeah.
But in the middle of
I don't know why you sniffed the bite on your hand either, but that's another conversation. Yeah.
Puppy breath.
Oh, okay. I'll give you the best now. Anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in to Tyre GP.
Yes.
Don't worry, every race won't be like that. It's just that you'll probably see the best of Mark. You'll see a lot of races more like that, but just have faith because they can't all be incredible battles.
It's a stop-start track as well. It's a stop-start track with a lot of very long straights, a lot of very, very heavy braking, a lot of very hard acceleration, and a lot of the tracks aren't like that. And we've got another one this year that isn't like that, Brno.
But yes, yeah, stick up for your sport and watch the racing.
Yes, watch the racing and watch us.
And watch Brno.
Watch
anyway,
Brno, because we'll be there and you can go, I know them, when you see us on camera.
Anyway, thanks for tuning in, folks, and we'll speak to you next week.
Yeah. See you next week, guys, for the Argentine preview. Thanks very much. Good night.
Bye-bye.